Guys, there seems to be magic in the air. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your favorite mask collector's favorite mask collector, AJ Good, here at the House of Masks, where we unbox and review cool stuff almost every single day, and I am excited for today's video. In today's video, we are going to be kicking it old school. Real old school, and this video feels special for a number of reasons. Not only are we unboxing a grail of a Slipknot mask, but we kind of have a nice wholesome story to go along with it that reminds me of another nice wholesome story. So a few days back I got on Instagram and saw that my little local homie Mecca got a vintage clown out of nowhere. Just had a vintage West German clown. Pretty crazy. The kid's like 12 now, and it took me 23 years to get a vintage clown. So I was watching his live and just seeing his reaction and how happy he was to have this vintage West German clown. I was like, damn man, that reminds me of my first vintage clown. And then I was like, hey, how'd you get that? And he said, my homie Big Cheese bought it for me. Sam is just an overall G. Bought his best friend in the hobby his first vintage West German clown, and I was like, damn, it's getting even more similar because way back in the day, 2014 or something like that, my best friend in the hobby, Mr. Mike Covert, sent me a vintage West German clown. Mike and I had been friends for a very, very long time prior to that, and I had been searching and searching and searching for a vintage West G the entire time, and then some. In fact, I remember being 6 years old and writing a 3-page letter to Slipknot where I very specifically was asking if there was any way that I could get one of the clown masks. I didn't know at the time that clown only had that mask. For whatever reason, I thought that they just had piles of these things laying around. And I thought, I don't know, maybe I'd get lucky and my 6-year-old self would get a return envelope with a clown mask stuffed in it. I don't know. My point is, I know exactly how Mecca felt, right down to a T, because my first vintage West German clown, my holy grail of Slipknot masks, was given to me by my best friend in the hobby, and Mecca just had that experience, that same exact experience. He had his first vintage West German clown, and it was gifted to him by his best friend in the hobby, and I thought that that was so crazy similar that I wanted another vintage West German clown just based on that experience. I wanted to feel that again. Now, I had been kind of toying with the idea of surfing the market and seeing if any collectors out there had a vintage that they would sell me, but seeing Mecca's reaction and remembering what it felt like to get my first vintage West G just kind of sealed the deal. Now, granted, I've had probably 8 vintage West German clowns in my day. I do still have 2 of them. I have my first one, which will never leave my collection, and I have another one that was actually brought to me by a fan at the first open house thing, the first meet and greet that we did here at the House of Masks in 2021. This kid was like, dude, you gotta see what we found Halloween hunting today, and he pulls this beautiful vintage West German clown out of a Goodwill bag. And I ended up getting to keep that mask. So crazy stories with those 2. I specifically want to keep them forever, but I wanted another one. I don't even really understand why I got rid of the others, maybe because they just weren't as sentimental as these 2. Granted, the one that I got in 2021 was the last vintage that I got, so I guess the timeline there doesn't quite make sense. But between the last one that I got and the first one that I got, all of those vintages kind of trickled out of my collection slowly but surely over time. And I regret that. I do regret that for sure now. So maybe it's time to start building back the army. And that is exactly what we are going to start in today's video, because we've got one here in a box. I saw this on eBay. It was up for a few days. The price was at $17.50, I believe. I shot a message to the seller and I was like, hey, if we do this off of eBay, would you take $1,500? And he messaged me back and he was like, dude, if we do this off of eBay, I'll do $1,400. I then found out who it was. It's actually a good friend of mine and longtime veteran of the hobby, Mr. John S. Alfred, aka Maggot Mouth Masks from way back in the day. So we ended up just chopping it up on Facebook and we got the deal sorted and it showed up today. Today has been a great day. Not only did I cash a dollar check, that's not a lie, I really did that, but I also woke up early enough to get McDonald's breakfast, and that is just the best thing ever. And I went to the post office and picked up a beautiful vintage West German clown. So let's see what's going on. That is a note with nothing. There's nothing like a vintage West German clown. I'm not even ready. Why am I so excited right now? The excitement's back. It was so common there for a while for me to pick up vintage West Gs that I had like 6 at one time, and I guess, like the specialness wore off. There's nothing like your first, and there are some copies out there that are crazy, and then I found one in the wild, and that was pretty special, but I eventually sold that one too, and I haven't felt this stoked about a vintage since 2021 when that kid pulled that one out of that bag. All right, let's stop talking. Let's go ahead. Oh my God, it's got that smell.
A kind of smelly smell. A smelly smell that smells smelly.
I love the smell of a vintage West G, and anybody that's held one in person or owns one knows exactly what I'm saying. This is just a magic mask. They were literally created with magic in them. I wholeheartedly believe that there's some sort of magic in these masks. Let's go ahead. I will pull this thing out. I will give you guys the first look at it, and then I will turn it around and take a look for myself. How is it? Is it everything that I want it to be? Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, John Mess did tell me that he was not able to capture the actual essence of the clown in the eBay listing photos, so I'm hoping that it looks better than it did in those photos, but we will see. Here we go. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Yeah, baby. He wasn't wrong. This does look a lot crazier in person. Wow. It does look a lot more like Sean's in person. I don't even know how to explain it. The photos definitely do not do this thing justice, so I am very stoked to be holding it in my hand right here. Man, the blue on this, the purple above the eyes, it looks like space. We got a little bit of wear and tear, which gives these things character. But dude, no rips, no tears.
The ripping and the tearing. The ripping and the tearing. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice, thin cast, and beautiful, beautiful hair. I'm going to go ahead and throw it on, something we never do here at the House of Masks, and everybody complains that I don't wear the mask, so here we go. Oh, yeah, baby. Look at that thing, dude. Oh my God. There's just something about a vintage. I can't explain it. And I'm so happy to have another copy in my collection. We have a holy trinity now. And for anybody that doesn't know, maybe you're new in the hobby and you're just getting started and you don't quite understand what's so special about this versus the Rudels that everybody seems to have, they are totally different. I mean, they are pretty similar. They're obviously West German clowns, but the vintages were created at an entirely different time period, made out of completely different materials. The paint is way different. The thickness is way different. The size is way different.
That's what she said.
And there were a few different molds for these vintage copies. So you had your 70s molds, you had your 80s molds, different defects on them, slightly different paint jobs, specifically with the blue and the white around the mouth. And I promise, if you hold, actually, you know what? Here, let me go grab a new Gen Rudel, and I'll hold them up together and try to show you guys the difference here.
2,000 years later.
All right, so at first glance, or maybe to the untrained eye, you're going to see these and be like, yeah, those are the same mask, but they're really, really not. The hair is totally different, and this is actually a very similar copy to a vintage West G. A lot of these new Gen Rudels came with super straight hair. The hair was made out of some whack-ass weird material. It was synthetic, but like not good synthetic. I don't know. Obviously, the paint on these is a lot different. It's a lot more contrasted and harsh, and they seem to even have like this weird kind of clear coat almost. I don't know. It's like a glossy finish on them. I don't know. There's a size difference, and you could literally ball this thing up into your hand if you wanted to. The vinyl is so thin, and you cannot do that with these. These things are thick as hell. They are small as hell, and due to that combo, they're actually really hard for people to wear. I can barely get them over my head. Once it's over my head, it's fine, but getting it over my head is an annoyance. So yeah, dude, this is a new gen, this is a vintage, and now I think I'm gonna go grab my other two vintages and put them on the sides of this thing so we can compare those as well. So give me 1 second, I'll be right back.
A few inches later.
Alright guys, so here is my spread, if you know what I mean. This is my first copy ever. This is Bronco. This was the Mike Covert copy that literally came new in the bag. I think he said he got it from a costume shop in New York, and it was still in the bag when I got it. This is still my favorite copy. There's just something special about it. The paint job is very matte and very pastel, and it has the blue directly around the mouth, just like Clowns. It is my only copy that has the blue directly around the mouth. This is the copy that we unboxed today, and this is the Goodwill Open House copy. A very, very cool copy. Definitely has a distinct look. It actually still has the Goodwill tag for $5.99 on the head. I decided to leave that on there because I thought it was cool. But you can see each one is totally different, but they're all very similar. And I don't know, man, I've said it a million times, I'm just gonna keep repeating myself. They're just special pieces. So, again, glad to have a new vintage copy in my collection. Glad to have another vintage copy in my collection, and it's one that I've never owned. I have owned a couple of the same copies. I bought them back off of people, but I've never owned this one. So it is a new vintage Clown for the collection, a new journey with a new pal. And yeah, dude, shout out to John Mess for selling me this at a great, great deal, especially with the climate of the market. Nothing is really for sale anymore, and when it goes for sale, it goes for crazy money, and vintages especially. I mean, Rudells, the new gen Rudells right here are going for the price that these Clowns were going for when you were able to buy them. When I was picking up copy after copy, I was paying $400 or $500 for them, and now these new gen Rudells are going for $400 or $500. So I've seen the vintage copies go for as much as $2,400, $2,500, and I was able to scoop this one for $1,400. So I was able to scratch my itch affordably. I still have that other itch, but the antibiotics are taking care of it, so I'm sure it'll be gone soon, right? Right? Anyways, I got kind of off track there. Shout out to John Mess for the awesome transaction. I've never, ever had an issue with that dude. He has been the man as long as I've known about him, and he is just a really solid guy. So John Mess, thank you very, very much. And thank you to you guys, of course, the viewers. Thank you for being here and for sharing all of these special moments in my collecting career or hobby or lifetime, whatever you want to call it. I appreciate you being here. And fuck, I mean, you're the reason that I'm able to score stuff like this now. Sometimes you guys even bring me the scores. So thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. I know you all hate me, but I love you. So thank you. Now, with all of that being said, we can go ahead and close this video down. And how are we going to do that? Yeah, exactly. We're going to do that with some nice up-close shots of this piece to let you guys see all of the beautiful, beautiful detail. And trust me, there's some beautiful detail to see here. So, without further ado, let's do further and hit you with these hero shots. Until next time, this has been AJ Good here at the House of Masks telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol and yes to vintage Clowns, and we will see you guys in the next one.